Using eFlow's authoring tools, it is easy for content creators to create courses that can run on instant messaging apps like WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, Slack, and others. Start by logging into the eFlow platform and navigating to the Courses page in the left sidebar menu. Click on Create Course in the top nav bar and select Advanced as the course type to access all advanced options. Fill in the course details, including the name EQ Day 1 and a brief description of the course. Click on the Create button to complete the course creation process. Click on Show Courses to see the newly created course. Click on Open to edit the course. An empty canvas will appear. Start by clicking on Add Message to add the first message of the course. Fill in the details, including the message content and feedback for when learners answer something outside of what you expect. Add keyboard options or buttons for learners to see under the message. Once ready, press on Add. Now set the message added as the first message. This will let the chatbot know that this is the beginning of the course. After it's added, we can add a trigger by clicking on Add Trigger. Fill in the text that we need the learners to answer and then click on Add. Now connect the trigger to the message. Now let's add another message. Click on Add Message and fill in the details. This time we are adding a multiple choice question. The invalid feedback message should guide the learners to answer by a letter. We can also enable smart responses so that the chatbot can answer any other question that the learner asks using our artificial intelligence model. Press on Smart Response to enable it. For this message, we will also add an image by clicking on Add Media. Add 4 buttons A, B, C, and D that learners can choose from. We would like to add a score to this message. Learners will get 10 points if they answer this question correctly. We can also choose if the grading is based on the first answer or they have a chance to answer a second time and still get the points. We can also name the question so it shows in the analytics later on. Once done, press on Add. Connect the message node to the trigger as follows. Then press on Add Trigger to add 4 new triggers for each of the answers A, B, C, and D. You can also enable these triggers to trigger external events like sending an email or adding entries to your learning management system or Google Sheets. Connect the trigger to the message. Now let's add the message that appears if they answer correctly. Connect the message to the trigger D, which is the correct answer. Now let's add the message that appears if they answer incorrectly. Connect the message to the triggers A, B, and C. Now we want a message to be sent directly after the learners get the feedback message. To do that, we can add a trigger and set it as Auto Jump. This will make sure that the message connected after will be sent directly after this message without any learner interaction. Now let's add a message with a reflection question about their experience. For this message, we also want to enable smart responses to answer any other questions from learners. We also want to add an image and save their response to a shareboard to be shared with other learners later on to enable a social learning environment. Choose which shareboard this response will be saved to. Add keyboard options or buttons for learners to easily select their response. Once all is done, click on Add. Connect the triggers to the message. Now let's add a trigger for both answers A and B. Connect the message to the trigger. Now let's add a message with more information about this reflection. Add the details and click on Add. Now connect both answers A and B to the same message, as answering A or B will always lead to the same message. As we want to send a message directly after this message, let's add an auto jump trigger and connect it to the message. And then let's add the preceding message. This message has a video and an option to take an EQ test or skip it. Add the required information and press on Add once done. Now let's add triggers with both answers start and skip and connect it back to the message. Add the preceding message details and continue with the connections as explained previously to support the message flow. Now for this answer, we expect a number between 1 and 10. We can add the numbers one by one, or we can simply switch to trigger rules and set a rule to accept answers from a minimum to a maximum number. Continue the message flow as needed. You can always edit the flow and connections when needed. This is the result on WhatsApp. You can deploy your course on WhatsApp, Microsoft Teams, or any other instant messaging app of your choice. We are excited to see what you will create.